Hi, everyone. Welcome to Access Point Podcast, a podcast run by high schoolers, taking different perspectives on the high school life and what we as high schoolers have to go through. It's going to be a fun time, going to be an interesting time, especially if you're in like that kind of demographic. So, Zoe, do you want to introduce the drink for today?
Oh, yes, thank you. This is an orange juice paired with muddled pineapple and mango. Very fancy. I've been starting to take a liking to pulped orange juice, so we're seeing how that goes.
Why pulped orange juice in particular?
Well, let me tell you, because I was on Instagram and I was trolling around and I decided to ask some people whether they preferred pulped or non-pulped. And pulped surprisingly won, even though I thought non-pulped would have been the clear victor. So I decided to realign my standing on this issue and try some pulped orange juice.
All right,
So
that's an interesting decision there. Anyways, for the topic of today, would you like to explain what we'll be discussing?
we'll be talking about relationship issues and the
Ooh,
awkwardness that ensues after a confession.
a confession, a rejection, a
Could be both.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so would you
So,
like to start off that conversation?
well, I thought you were the one with the question.
I mean, no, I mean you're kind of not to expose, you're kind of fresh out of it, aren't you?
Whoa. Should I give the audience some history? I am
Maybe just
fresh
a
out
little
of
bit,
yeah,
a
I'm
little bit
fresh
of
out of
anonymous history.
anonymous history. Yes. Fresh out of a almost like a year-long relationship. It was pretty
Ooh.
cool. Shout out to the dude. Not gonna say his name, but yeah, so I guess I'm really used to the awkwardness and I will be teaching you about it.
All right, so post everything that happened, what kind of awkwardness ensued talking wise?
After the breakup or after the
Yeah, yeah.
confession? Oh, I
Let's
see,
talk
I
about
see.
that part first.
Oh, all right.
That might be more relevant.
Okay. There was it's pretty awkward. It still has we're not still totally clear on whether on the status because I don't know if he fully acknowledges that it's over. But after you guys haven't talked in months, I think it's fair to assume that there's nothing going on anymore.
Right, so it's kind of that unstable, like, oh no, what is going on at this point? Communication is kind of an oof moment, if you will.
Right. Yeah. Um, so even as just a life lesson, if you keep telling someone that there's a problem and they say yes and they acknowledge the problem but they don't fix it, probably not going to fix it in the future. So just like move on.
Yeah, so just basically me with everything school and grades. Oh no, crisis. Guess what? I'm not gonna do anything about it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, assuming that everyone watching this is already your friend, everyone knows that's not the case. Okay.
I mean,
You're
I mean,
you're like the standard for good academic standing. Like
that's.
people, I tell people how many APs I have, and they're like, "Wow, that's a lot. You're almost an Eston."
Oh,
Did you know that? Did you know people said that?
I was unaware of that, but
Mhm.
that's interesting considering how things have been going this school years thus far. Anyways, so
Mhm.
we kind of talked about the end of that, but there's two different avenues at the beginning of confession can go, right? Like there's the positive and there's like the negative, right?
You
So
mean as in like
positive as in
acceptance? If
accept and like, oh yay, we're doing this now.
oh, well, that's
Uh,
not. I don't think it's ever a oh yay we're doing this now. It should be more enthusiastic, man.
oh yay, we're doing this now.
Yeah.
Yay.
hmm
Um
So,
so
which avenue do you
so
want to talk about?
I mean we kind of did like a negative one just now, so a
I'm
positive
talking of
one.
more of no, I'm talking about more of like a confession. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. So
have you ever
post
been rejected?
no.
Me neither. Hey,
Yay, one
don't
for
put
one.
yourself out there. You can't get rejected.
Yes, the introvert life, an
Yeah.
interesting one, a great one.
Oh,
um,
but on another side of that coin, if you're on the side of the confession, being like rejecting someone else is also pretty hard. because you have to keep in mind their emotions, that they're like real people and not just, creeps.
I mean,
Uh,
sometimes they are just creeps, and you're just like,
Sometimes,
nah,
yeah.
get out of here.
Yeah, but if you make it a point to associate yourself with good people, you rarely come into contact with that.
I mean, hopefully you associate yourself with good people, right?
Do you have
That's
any?
typically a good thing.
Yeah, how do you avoid associating yourself with creepy people?
I mean, honestly, like creepiness is kind of just what you define creepiness as, right? So, I mean, unless you consider yourself a creep, like hanging out with people that kind of have like the same stigma or like just same ideas, way of life as you, probably you would not like consider them creepy, right?
Well, I mean, someone can have the same like hobbies and likes as you and still be creepy. Like someone who constantly texts you, and if you don't reply to them, they get really freaked out and they keep spamming you.
Oh
This
yeah,
is speaking
double
from
texting.
personal experience. No, not double texting. Would
Hold
you
on,
like to elaborate on
hold
that?
on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Personal experience, as in what?
Oh, I haven't been on both sides of that.
You've been on one side.
I have. I it's so one time a few years ago my phone broke, so I wasn't able to reply to people, and I could still view the messages, and I could just see people like there's this one creepy person who was trying to talk to me.
Hmm.
He just like
Yeah.
kept texting me over and over again, like, "Hey, are you okay? Are you good? How are you? Why aren't you replying?" That's terrifying, and like avoid that.
You know
You
what?
know,
An elegant way to go about that is send them an email. Yes, I'm all right. An email for.
we can segue into the conversation about you and your possible confession. Can we talk about that?
I mean, to what extent? Are we real? How far are we trying to expose everybody on here?
We're not naming names, but I
We're
do
not
want to
naming
talk
names.
about this with you because you had questions the other day.
I did have questions the other day. Do you remember
Hmm.
what they were? Because I have no idea what they were.
One of your questions was how do you deal with the awkwardness after you confess to someone?
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about it.
Right. So normally if both of you are enthusiastic and like agreeing that you want to enter a relationship with each other, then it's not that awkward
Yeah.
because
Well,
obviously
if it's a mutual connection kind of thing, yeah. Oh,
connection.
connection.
You had that experience in middle school, right?
I did have that experience in middle school.
Right.
It was
So
it was it went smoothly post.
exactly. So has anyone unsuccessful confessed to you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, being
I didn't
honest.
know about
Honest.
this. Could you
Dude, okay. You usually say like it's like no simp September, right? But the preceding months before that, the 3 months of summer, it's like yes, simp summer,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, it's always sim time, but go on.
Not in September, it's no simp September. But
September is Suicide Prevention Month. Maybe we should talk about that instead of not simping. I simp all the time, okay? I simp so hard, but
weird flex, but all right.
yes.
Oh, no. So yeah, summer, it was an interesting time. Uh, yeah, my summer was just full of not doing anything fun or remotely interesting because quarantine. Um, but a lot of time to reflect, talk to people I haven't talked to in a while, talk to new people, right? Like a whole bunch of interesting stuff was going on in summer
Right.
in that regard.
So
So
you
what?
where's the story? I thought you said someone confessed to you.
Then there is no story.
There's no story? No?
There's no
All right.
story. We're not
Well,
gonna talk about it, at least.
hmm.
Not
Okay.
until I can figure out how to better word it to make it seem
Oh,
less weird, awkward,
interesting.
funny. I don't know.
I see.
Yeah. Anyways, the awkwardness that ensues. So we already
Hmm.
covered mutual, positive, right?
Hmm.
I guess the only
Now,
is there a positive? So there is a positive negative, but is there like a negative negative? Because like then why would you even say
well,
things?
that reminds me of more of like an arranged kind of thing, and I don't think we have to
Oh,
deal with that now, right?
I mean,
Not in high school.
okay. So there are arranged marriages in the United States, which is like extremely problematic, right? That is a thing. I'm not
Right.
kidding. That is a
Uh-huh.
thing.
Yeah.
Obviously problematic, but we don't have much expertise, if you will, in that field.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, I can talk about what expertise we do have.
What expertise do we have?
Right.
Active simping without doing anything about it.
That's a topic for later. I want to talk about a different thing right now.
Okay.
So I think I've only confessed to one person in my life, and that, well, I mean, yeah, we know where that went.
Yep.
But yeah, but I have witnessed and been on the sidelines of an unsuccessful confession. I tried to incite it. Oh, actually, no, that's happened multiple times.
I know. I know one of them at least.
Yeah, the one I'm thinking about is from middle school.
Right.
Right. So it's probably not the one you're thinking of. It was super like tense, and I had tried to get this person to work up to it after months, and they finally did it, which maybe you should do. But they're a great person, and I have no idea why the person they were confessing to didn't return the feeling, the simpage. Exactly. Like non-mutual simping is just really a blow.
Mm-hmm.
But afterwards, this person got over it like pretty quickly, because you acknowledge that it's not going to go anywhere and you just move on. And they weren't. Oh, yeah, it's kind of a different situation because they weren't really close friends before.
Yeah, so I guess there's two different avenues, right? Like within that regard, like being close friends and then, or just, it's semi-attraction and then yeeting on forward. So that was the latter option, right?
Right. I mean, if you're friends before, if you're both super mature about it, you just talk about it and you get over it, you know? And then you stay friends, because even if you're in a relationship with someone and you break up, you can both be mature and stay friends. So maybe that's what would happen.
Possible. I mean, yeah. There's an infinite amount of possibilities in theory, you know.
Right. Oh my gosh. We're trying to be more concrete here. Like, what is the worst case scenario?
The cops are called on you. You're sent to prison and you rot there.
Okay, but you're not that kind of person, so we don't need to worry about
Why are we talking about me?
Oh, we're not talking about you? All right, okay. I'm sorry. No. Speaking in an entirely hypothetical manner, if you are a good person and you respect this person.
I like how you just moved to hypothetical and said if you directed towards me are a good
person. No. I'm saying you as in whoever's listening who may want to confess to someone.
Listeners.
Right. To all you beautiful listeners out there, if you're a good person and you respect the person that you're confessing to, they would probably respect you back and not like block you or something. Okay. So like be mature about it and try to stay friends afterwards.
Yeah.
Really, like I know that a lot of people worry about like confessing to someone and them not returning the feelings for them, and then the friendship being ruined because it'll just be like forever awkward afterwards, right? But seriously, y'all can just move on from it. Just like be like.
I mean, yeah, going back to what you said before, like as long as you just be true about it, you just keep going with life.
Right.
In general.
Everything keeps moving.
But let's just say, I mean, okay, so we kind of already talked about the established friendship and then rejection. Just be mature about it. Keep going forward. Where was I going with that thought? I have no idea.
I have no idea.
Do we already talk about the non-established friendship and just like, oh, that's out of the blue? What?
Yes. Well, you mean just like two complete strangers being like, "Hey, you're kind of cute," and then like,
one, and then you're just like, "Who are you?" You're like, "I barely know who you are." That's weird.
Oh, so are you like acquaintances beforehand?
Yeah.
Oh. Sheesh. Well, I mean, yeah, there's oh my God, dude. There's no risk to that, you know?
Yeah, okay. Then you're just in a no risk scenario. You're just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's either
just another day.
yeah. So I guess that's why people like to go out and meet people because it's a pretty low risk situation. Unless you get mugged or something.
Oh,
I mean that's less of an issue that we're worrying about right now.
I mean, hopefully, stay
How,
inside, self
mhm.
isolate, quarantine. Do that. That's probably a good thing.
Yeah,
Uh, you want
I
to
wanted
what?
to talk. Yes, I wanted to talk about that because like we're in quarantine right now, right? Everyone's
Mhm.
super lonely. Me, super touch starved. But like, there's
Okay.
there's no way to cope with that. It's pissing me off.
FaceTime. Go on Zoom calls with your friends. Have a Zoom movie night. But also for all my homies out there with virtual ships
Ew,
going on.
the
And
Minecraft girlfriends.
that's not where I was going with that. I was talking
Oh,
about pre-established things that have been going on, and then you're like, "Uh-oh, quarantine. What do we do now?" So that begs the question: what do we do now?
you break up.
That wasn't very uplifting, I have to say.
No, but seriously, so many people have broken up in quarantine. Either like they get tired of each other, so like married couples, or they just don't maintain proper contact. So,
That's what we call an L moment.
yeah, no, it sucks when you go into quarantine with someone, then you leave all alone and broken, and it's pretty cool.
I mean, we're not out of quarantine yet. Terrible.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Um, Quarantine's been getting super long. Have you
I
ever
mean,
had
yeah,
that?
stay inside, people, please. I want
Yes,
to go outside freely. But yeah, what you're saying.
this is gonna be a super weird transition. I had something else to say, but I wanted to ask you about that. How do you feel about like the economy being forced back open like this?
Okay, so there's like a few different thoughts on this, right? Obviously, you need. I mean, if we're gonna go into the whole thing like government revenue, right? Government does need revenue to an extent, but also
Right.
like obviously certain businesses shouldn't be opening up right now.
Like,
Well, like like hair salons and that kind of thing. Like they're not essential in my opinion,
I agree. Yeah.
right? But like things like you have to have grocery stores and all that stuff. I don't think we should force the economy to open up just yet, especially because California and a few big states have huge growths, huge spikes in like cases, right? So
Right.
if anything, we should be encouraging people to stay at home as opposed to like, oh, go shop now. Like only
But
shop
then
when necessary.
you also have to think about the whole like vaccine thing. Like people are just hoping that you open everything up and then the economy starts working again and we don't enter another recession and then the vaccine comes out and then everyone's healthy and you can just keep moving.
I mean, where there's just some like studies from like the World Health Organization and stuff that just said like um there was a vaccine coming in like 8 months or something. Like,
Eight
but
months.
even still, there's still like the risk of catching something, right? So bottom of the line, stay at home as much as possible. Let's decrease the amount of cases. Don't put your family at risk, all that good stuff.
Yeah, very PC. Like from our perspective as high schoolers, I guess we have less concern about the economy because we're not really actively participating in it yet,
Mm-hmm.
or at least not most of us, because we still have school to do.
Yeah.
So I guess we just have less motivation to what, stay inside.
I mean, that's true. Also, like you were saying before, the perpetual sense of loneliness that we feel, especially as such like social individual, social human species, if you will.
Right. I mean, yeah, social isolation is something that I mean, I'm it's not exactly like prison, but you know how like they socially isolate you and it causes like mental problems, depression. I don't want to go as far as to say psychosis, but it's not really safe. to,
I mean,
to
yeah,
stay like this.
like that's why it is important to keep contact with your friends, but you don't have to keep like physical contact or whatever. Like you could just, like I said
Right. I mean,
before, like go on a
mhm.
video call, vibe,
Yeah, I'm not
online movie night.
contesting that. 'Cause that next Netflix party, very useful. Watch a lot of anime with my friends on
Terrible.
that. How is that terrible?
Don't worry about it.
No, no, it's
Terrible.
no. Okay, for anyone who doesn't know me personally, it's traditional anime. Okay.
False.
No.
Okay, so maybe we should get back on track a little bit on the on
Yeah,
the
I'm sorry.
initial topic.
Right. Sorry.
Right. So we kind of left off on the. No, we kind of went through it actually.
Are we really not allowed to talk about the more hard-hitting reason for why we're talking about this?
What is the hard-hitting reason for why we're talking about this? Say
You.
it in. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it less specifically, but
Sorry.
if that's what you're gonna do, that's what you're gonna do.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, so why?
Huh? Right. Well,
What
I
is the
mean, we can
purpose?
talk about more specific steps, like how you're gonna do it, when you're gonna do it, why you're waiting so damn long to do it, you know? Like what concerns could you possibly have? Or like what concerns could someone who wants to confess have?
Well, I mean, like
We
we
can
talked about
work
this
through it.
earlier, right? Like the whole
Yeah.
awkward scenario after the
That's just one thing.
insatiable sense of loneliness post rejection,
Right.
and all these things that like are. I mean, we just talked about the whole scenario of just like quarantine, loneliness, all that good. Well, not good stuff, all that bad
Bad stuff.
stuff.
Mhm. Well, I
So
want to
like
emphasize.
adding fuel to the flame in that regard.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel like it's different in this instance because if you don't confess, you're just pining for someone and you never really figure out where you're going for it. And then you don't have another person to you can't there's less of a sense of like self-fulfillment if you don't really know what's happening between you and another person. So you can confess and get rejected and then move on and be like, I'm enough. I don't have to be so lonely. Or you can confess and not get rejected and then just
And then
be happy.
be happy.
Hmm.
Okay. So I mean, going down that avenue, it's kind of how do you help people, guide themselves along that path of actually getting there?
Ah, that's a good question. Now I have a lot to say on that.
Oh, spooky.
Well,
Let's
I
hear it.
mean, yeah, no, you just have to get someone to first acknowledge their own self-worth and that they don't need someone else to be happy and, you know, to be enough. And that,
All right, that's a pretty big step one.
uh, well, I mean, that's a step that everyone has to take regardless of whether they're looking at a prospective relationship or not.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, what's
So
step two?
you get that out of the way. And then you realize that you gotta like gussy yourself up and go for it. Like, I don't know, put on a suit or something. Be like, hey, I
Dude,
kind of like you.
I put on a suit like every week and a half, and I do not feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you put on a suit that often and then you don't put on a suit for a confession, then I mean, maybe there's something off about that.
I mean, suits are fun.
Suits are fun. They make you look spiffy. So get spiffy, get confident. Don't be creepy.
Okay, how do you
Oh,
not be creepy?
yes, I was just about to go into that. Very important. I want to stress this to everyone. Stop hinting at things. No hints. No hints. Say it straight up, okay? Oh my gosh.
That's like a flashback moment to an individual,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How obvious was the quote unquote hinting in that regard?
It was. See, look, the hinting was obvious enough that I knew what was going on, but
From the
I
very beginning,
Well, yes.
and you just
And
pretended like you just don't see it. Just
yes,
let it happen.
because I
That's so
didn't
cruel. That is so
see,
cruel.
no. Okay, see, now I'm speaking as less of like an authority on the subject. I didn't want to I didn't want to reject someone who hadn't straight up confessed yet because it felt kind of conceited to just like assume that they were, you know.
I mean,
So that's
fair. That's fair.
That's another reason. Don't hint at people, because then you'll just be in this weird in between space, and then you'll never know where you are with each other.
Okay, and I guess another side of that is like one, it could be really obvious, but two, what about when it's not obvious? Any tips or tricks to identify that kind of thing?
To identify whether someone's like, oh.
Dude, okay, for the people listening on audio, that'd be really funny because they can't see facial expressions or anything.
Oh, that's true. Okay, we're just doing some big eyebrow gestures. Right. It's different for both genders. There are, oh my gosh, I hate to say this, but like pickup artists talk about this a lot. Pickup artists are creepy and often very misogynistic, so we're not gonna really go into that. But if someone's into you, they're gonna want to talk to you, and
hopefully,
yeah, hopefully. Oh, hey, what the hell? See, if I wasn't, if I didn't
meant to be an attack. That wasn't meant to be an attack. But then I realized soon after that, applicable.
Right. See, if I hadn't completed step 1, I would have been so sad after you said that. Step 1, very important. Realize your self-worth and move on. Let's see. I mean, that's really it. Like, if people, words of wisdom, like if you're doubting whether someone's into you, they're probably not.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, make it obvious. Make it clear. Stop hinting at people.
Wait, what did you just say?
No, I didn't. No, I said geez.
Okay, I thought you said something else that could be discussed at a later time.
Yeah, no.
That would have been really funny. Inside jokes, people. Inside jokes.
I mean, probably you shouldn't be talking about inside jokes on on a place where people who aren't in on the joke.
I know, but I thought I heard something that I didn't.
I'm aware. Right. I would never incite the name of that person on a public broadcast.
I mean, we probably shouldn't incite the names of anybody without their consent on a public broadcast. So
exactly.
That's a good step 1.
I haven't done that so far, have I?
Yeah, well, I just didn't talk about anybody so far, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, okay. Let's see. Honestly, just get it over with. No.
We're on the identifying low-key hints.
Low-key hints?
Yeah.
Oh, so like, I see. So like inadvertent hints?
Yeah. Or, something that might just be compulsory and you don't even realize you're doing it, but you're doing it.
If you copy the speaking style of someone. Like
just like completely just like steal their vocab.
No, not exactly that, but you know how most people have like when they text or when they talk, they have different tendencies and phrases that they like to use. So like different preferred slang, the capitalization and spelling of certain words. So if y'all match that, like,
you might be in good hands.
Right. Good hands. Okay.
For lack of a better term.
Right. I mean, Jesus, take the wheel.
Hold up.
It's really like not everyone is the same, so you can't have a set of hard and fast rules for everything like this. Like my best advice would seriously just be to go for it.
Dude, honestly, my best advice would probably just be suss the situation out a little bit before, try to see where you stand initially.
What do you mean by that?
Like, if there's like a zero nonsensical chance of you hitting the target per se, then just don't do it and just don't put yourself in the awkward situation to begin with.
You gotta hit that access point, man.
That was a terrible plug, I have to say.
No, you said it first. It just came to mind. Um,
I mean,
you can't really, okay, in a more specific sense, if you were if you already know that this person isn't like looking for a relationship or are fresh out of a relationship, that's something I want to talk about actually. If someone's fresh out of a relationship, they're probably not in the best headspace for
unless
another
they're looking
person.
for a rebound.
Rebounds don't always go very
No,
well.
they
I
don't
wouldn't,
ever go very well.
I mean, go very well. You're right. You're right.
Like I would
Oh
say,
yeah.
there's a very considering the circumstances of a rebound, right? There are very low chances of that ever going anywhere. It's just for like, oh, I need someone to fill this empty void, and then it just doesn't go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Dude, the void is really gaping today. Or not like all the time. All the time. The key to a happy life is to have a void that's so large and unfillable that even if you put some like glimmer of hope in it, it's negligible if you count for sig figs.
That was the terrible. That's
That was
terrible.
amazing.
I
That
just
was
had
so
like
good.
that just gave me a chem PTSD moment. Something
Exactly.
I never hoped I would
Dude.
face ever again.
So more advice, be empty enough that anything else is negligible. So then after they leave you, you're just the same.
Well, then you can't really like assuming that you do hit the target there. Then you can't really move forward if you're just like not expecting anything for like the whole time, right? You're just like, okay, this is happening now. Cool.
That was sad.
But am I wrong?
No, you're right. But in high school, it seems like that's the best way to go. Because you can't really expect a relationship in high school to go very well or to last very long. Not I'm not saying this out of bitterness. Like it's always been it's always been the case. So
I mean, there's some potential.
are you talking about those
Right?
people who meet in high school and get married?
Yeah. I mean, like there's potential. It just often is not the case, especially since like separation and all that good bad stuff with like
I mean, it's not always.
college and the pressures of life that ensue after college, during college.
It's not always a bad thing, if you're not right for each other or if like neither of you are really getting something good out of the relationship. Then should split.
Pull the plug.
Yeah, that's super depressing.
Well, on that note.
No, okay, look, if the person that you're confessing to is so back to the point I was trying to make earlier. If the person you're confessing to isn't ready for a relationship, don't pressure them by confessing to them. Like give it some time.
Give it some time.
Mm-hmm.
How much time is time? That made no sense at all.
I'm sorry. I know. I mean, like people like to be more specific when they're talking about these things, because then you can like really compare it to your own situation. By time, I just mean like enough time that they're more like emotionally stable and like in a constant and strong state of mind where they can make wise decisions.
Right, so not while you're having a crisis, is what you're saying.
Right, essentially, yeah.
Because, you don't want to get trapped in something that could potentially turn out toxic where you are emotionally attached to somebody and they're just not,
Right, so like back to what I said
be in the right
earlier.
headspace when thinking about it.
Right, so after this talk, do you think that you're more ready to go for it or move on?
You only move on after it goes poorly, so I mean, all things considered, probably gonna have to get ready to bite the bullet.
Yeah.
It's Despacito time.
Is that how we're ending it?
That is how we're ending it. Thank you for tuning in to the
Okay.
first and terribly produced episode of the podcast.
Terribly produced?
Not terribly
Oh.
produced. Terribly
Organized.
that. Yeah.
Mm.
um,
Thank
Yeah,
you for
well,
listening. Yeah, I hope you got something
episodes
good
are
out
shot.
of this.
Yeah, episodes are shot every single week. Unless something crazy happens, then I guess not. And stay tuned for the next episode.